Thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. So this is our IT Novarica webinar on 10 trends in customer experience, expanding scope and managing expectations. CX is such an important topic today, and we're really excited to be able to talk about these trends with you. As we go through, please feel free to post questions in the, there's like a question icon in the GoToMeeting, and we will try to get to those questions at the end. We'd also like to thank those of you who have already submitted questions. We asked for, if there were any particular pressing questions that people had on this topic, and we've gotten a number of questions already, which we will try to get to throughout, and again at the end of the presentation. We'd also like to thank all of you with whom we've had conversations over the last few months as we've been compiling and researching, a lot of these trends. All of you represent different industries within financial services and insurance. We've got insurance carriers, we've talked to insurance agents, we've talked to wealth management, banking. You come from companies of different sizes, different complexities, but everyone on this webinar has one thing in common, and that's that focus on the customer, however you define the customer, and those, their experiences with your brand. So, we have 10 trends. We're just going to go through the 10 trends and then take questions at the end. So feel free to put those questions in the chat. Not in the chat, in the question area. Before we get into it, for those of you who might be less familiar with us, I just want to introduce ourselves. So I'm Paul Legutko. I'm one of the senior principals at IT Novarica. I've also got my colleague, Rayut Samra, who's one of our strategic advisors. We are part of the customer experience practice at IT Novarica Group, and we are a research and insights firm dedicated to the financial services and insurance industries. If you like what you hear today, you're curious about some of our other research, or if you have any questions, please reach out and we can chat about how we might be able to help. So when we finished writing our report on these 10 trends, which we published last week, we were asked to come up with a title for the report. And I struggled a little bit to figure out what to call this. As you'll see in this webinar, these trends come from many different directions. They cover many different aspects of customer experience today. But I think that these two concepts, expanding scope and managing expectations, are themes that occur in many, probably most of the trends that we're going to cover. Scope is expanding, the scope of what CX teams have to manage, the scope of the choices that consumers have, the scope of the skill sets that you have to go find talent for. And it's about expectations too, right? Expectations about digital, expectations about omni-channel, responsiveness, what changed during the pandemic and have to be met and exceeded now. Previously, CX was, about making improvements via personalized service, designed by collecting and analyzing data on customers' expectations and needs. However, customers' needs have become broader than their own now, and now include coworkers, family, loved ones, expanding scope. Experiences are now extending to all parties involved, like employees, agents, other customers. CX needs to transform and accommodate all of these personas at once. The scope of CX technology is expanding too. The vendor landscape is diversifying, it's consolidating. Horizontal cross-industry solutions are bumping heads against vertical core platforms. Expectations about how companies can collect and use data have changed. That's not just expectations, it's like laws, right? Firms have to secure the data, they have to use it efficiently in a transparent manner with full consent. Experiences have to be aligned both internally and externally. Customers' needs might change, service, products have to be adjusted to meet their expectations. And similarly, your contact strategy needs to be realigned with these changing customer expectations about the right balance between digital and non-digital channels. So these are just some of the themes that we'll be touching on, and I'm sure that you have all seen these kinds of challenges in your organizations too. So without further ado, here are the 10 trends that we're going to talk about.